So Elon Musk sat down for an interview with Jordan Peterson, and I'm not a fan of either of them. So I figured there would be nothing they could say that would win me over or make me look at them in a different light. And this clip I'm about to show you just proved once and for all that I am never going to like Elon Musk. I couldn't warm up to this guy if we were cremated together. Because here he is in this clip talking about his daughter. She transitioned, but he says that his son was killed by the woke mind virus. And you can literally see the disdain and the disgust in his voice. And it really gives you a peek behind the curtain as to what this guy is really like deep down. We're going to talk more about how he's treated his daughter since the transition, but just take a look at this clip. And folks, to me, it's kind of hard to watch.
I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This is before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he.
That was a lie right from the outset.
Incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
That's
so I was
connection.
tricked into doing this. I lost my son essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. And we're making some progress.
Join the club.
Yeah.
So when his daughter transitioned, she changed her name to Vivian Jenna Wilson. And she recently broke her silence and started talking about how it was like being raised up around Elon Musk, which turns out she wasn't really around him much at all. She said he really wasn't there for her. She was mainly raised by her mother and nannies. But whenever he was around, he would berate her for the way that she talked and the way that she acted. He would tell her to make her voice deeper and just really berated her and talked down to her all the time. And she says that that's not true when he says that he was tricked into that. She said he knew exactly what he was doing. So I highly recommend you guys go check out that response because I would believe her 10-1 over anything he has to say. And as a father, just that whole bit that we watched him do there, as a father, that's disgusting to me. I have 5 children and a grandson, and I cannot imagine ever talking to one that way. I can't ever imagine berating one in that fashion for any reason, but for those reasons, I can't imagine how someone could treat a child that way and do that. And I'm just going to be as open and honest about this as I can be because I want people to understand who I am and where I come from. I'm a straight white dude that was born on the Southeast Kentucky, East Tennessee line. I've been here my entire life, okay? Do I understand every single thing about the transgender community? No, I don't. I don't understand everything to do with it. But guess who I talk to when I want to know about what transgender people go through? I talk with transgender people. One of the things that's happened to me in recent years since I've sat down and started doing content like this is I've had so many transgender people reach out to me and want to talk, and we've carried on conversations, and I've asked them questions. I ask them about what it's like. I ask them about certain things that I don't understand. I say to them, could you explain this to me so I can have a better understanding of it? I don't sit and listen to Joe Rogan's podcast or Elon Musk or any of these people talk about it. I'm not going to sit and listen to some straight redneck in my part of the world tell me what he thinks transgender is. I want to hear from them. And the reason I want to hear from them is because I have 5 children, I have a grandson, and I want to know about this so that if that ever was to happen to me, I would be better prepared for it. And I would have an understanding of what it was that I was dealing with. I can't imagine berating your child. I've never done that. I've always flipped the script when it comes to my children. When they ask me a question, I usually come back with another question. And we just continue to have the conversation. And I let them find themselves. I don't get in the middle and tell them what they should do with their lives. I sit back and listen, and I try to offer advice in a healthy way, not in a way that's like, judgmental, or not in a way that's like, hey, I'm smarter than you, I'm older than you, I've been around a long time. Because what I will say, and I'll give you an example, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me telling this, but, my oldest son's 23 years old. I was married to his mom for 5 years. She and I divorced. Then I married my second wife, and we divorced. I have 3 women that are the mother of my children, and so, I've not had a relationship last very long, if I'm being brutally honest with you. I think the longest I've ever been in one was about 4 or 5 years every time. And so when me and my son talked about things and he was having some trouble in relationships, he actually said to me, well, Dad, you've never been able to hold one together yourself. And I had to own that one. And I didn't get mad at him. I didn't berate him for saying that. I was like, you got a point. I mean, I've not been able to make them work. So I'm just trying to talk with you and help you through it. That's what I feel like a parent should do. A parent should own up to their mistakes and own up to who they were. The one thing about my children, they all still love me. They all still come around. They all still want to be around me. And they all would tell you that I've always been brutally blunt and open. I've always told them my mistakes. I've always talked to them about my addiction. I've talked to them about my infidelities. I've never held back on any of it. I've never been a hypocrite about it, because that's the one thing about MAGA that I cannot stand. I cannot stand the hypocrisy. I cannot stand just the hatred and the cruelty that they have in their platform. The whole thing. We all make mistakes as human beings. Every one of us makes mistakes. But they go out of their way to be cruel and hateful to people that they don't understand. And they will cast their own children aside because they don't understand, or because they're afraid of how it's going to look in a group of people. I don't care what my child identifies as, and I don't care if they come out a certain way. I'm not going to be offended by that at all, and I'm not going to care what people in my little small part of the world thinks about it. I'm not going to give 2 shits about that, because I'm going to be there to support my child through it all. I really believe that's how we do it. That's how my parents did to me, and I'm just trying to pass it on down to mine, and I want them to know that too. That way, when they get in a scenario when they're raising their kids, they'll look back and say, well, how did my dad do it? And when they look back and say, well, my dad was always honest about his mistakes. He was always, he always owned up to his faults. He always expressed the things that he didn't understand. He asked me to explain the things he didn't understand. We talked things out and worked through them. That's what I want my kids to say, not my dad used to berate me and tell me to deepen my voice and tell me to stop acting feminine. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that anyone could treat their child that way. It's truly disturbing to me. I already knew I wasn't a fan of Elon Musk. I don't understand why people in my part of the world like him, other than the fact that they like someone that's cruel, and they like someone that will give them a platform to speak. They know that they can go on his platform and be as racist and misogynistic and transphobic as they want to be, and they know that he's not going to throw no stones at them. So I'm sure that's a big part of why they love him. But I'm never going to warm up to the guy. And I absolutely wish his daughter the best in this world. I can't imagine having that as your father. But there's good people out there that's pulling for you. There's good people out there that's in your corner. And I've learned so much about things. I went from playing, what you got to understand about me, I went from playing in redneck dive bars to redneck audiences. Did that for over 20 years. And now, when I go out to play a show, I have a completely different audience sitting in front of me. And now I have people walk up to me and say, hey, I'm trans. I made the transition. I watch your video. And we sit down and talk, and I learn about them, and they learn about me, and we come to understandings. That's how the world should be. That's the way the world should be. This hatred and cruelty that MAGA has adopted, I hope one day that the younger generation can come up and start doing away with that. And I hope that we can encourage them to do so. I hope that the ones of us that's been around longer can encourage them to get back to compassion and get back to empathy and get back to caring about people and listening to people. Listen to other people. Don't sit and do a knee-jerk reaction and judge stuff. That just shows your fear. It shows you're afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's a much bigger world out there than you realize. That's what I tell my kids all the time. We live in a little small town here in East Tennessee, but if you go outside this part of the world, it's a big world out there, and there's people from all walks of life going through all types of things. And you can put up your guard and put up your wall, and you can listen to people explain it that don't know jack shit about it, or you can sit down and engage with them and understand it and develop an understanding. That's what I'm trying to do. And I appreciate all the transgender people who have reached out to me and talked to me and educated me on it. I welcome it. And if I get something wrong in a video, tell me. I'll listen. I'm not going to start saying that you have a mind virus. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. A woke mind virus. Yeah, being aware of other people's scenarios and other people's, struggles in this world, being aware of that is a virus in their world. That tells you everything you need to know about Elon Musk. It tells you everything you need to know about MAGA. If being aware of your surroundings and being aware that other people out there have their own struggles and their own way of life, if being aware of that is a virus, that tells you everything you need to know about MAGA and Elon Musk and who they are.